Thank you so much, first of all, to Michelle Heritage and the Van Buren Center for opening their doors to host us today for this very exciting announcement. Thank you to Nancy Kramer, who's here, founder of Free the Tampons. Thank you for joining us today and truly for your efforts over 30 years on this subject. I also want to extend a very special thank you to Columbus Recreation and Parks Department and to Jiza Page, the chair of the committee, Councilmember Jiza Page, the chair of the Recreation and Parks Committee, Director Tony Collins and members of his team, particularly Brian Hoyt and Troy Uton, were just instrumental in getting this done. So I want to thank all of you for being here today. And thanks to all of you for joining us. I'm truly excited to be talking about periods in a room that includes at least 6 men. I'm impressed. Actually, since this effort first began with a meeting with Nancy Kramer a while back, my team and I have had to get a lot of men on board at various points in the process. And I want to tell you that to a person, they were eager to help, if a little unfamiliar with the subject matter. And to try to create a little empathy, my aide, Kelsey Ellingson, and I have actually joked around the office about instituting a citywide Bring Your Own Roll Day, toilet paper roll. So we have not done that. We are doing this instead. Work from the positive, right? But in all seriousness, is there any restroom outside your own home where you are expected to bring your own roll of toilet paper or your own soap? I can't think of one. Yet there is a nearly ubiquitous expectation that women bring their own tampons and pads, despite the fact that a woman's period is a bodily function as normal as any other. On an errand, in a meeting, or in school, being caught without an accessible tampon or pad derails thousands of women every day. A national study commissioned by Free the Tampons found that 86% of women have been caught without menstrual products when they needed them. For an adolescent, the experience can lead to insecurity, embarrassment, and sometimes shame. For the most vulnerable populations like homeless women, the $7 to $10 you'd need to spend for a box of tampons competes with critical costs of supporting a family. And that's exactly why we're here today, to address this gap in areas where lack of access to tampons and pads can be particularly harmful. Together with Columbus Recreation and Parks, and with the support of Councilmember Jiza Page, we have launched a pilot for free tampons and pads in our recreation centers, which are the city's largest interface with the public and particularly with adolescents. We now, currently today, have menstrual products in Douglas, Driving Park, Glenwood, and Linden recreation centers. And because the pilot went well, we will be scaling up to all 29 of our centers. I was out at Glenwood yesterday and had the pleasure of talking to the center director and other staff of Recreation and Parks, and actually seeing the machine in use. I will report to you that it works. For women who have gone into a public restroom and tried the coin-operated kind, you know how infuriating those can be. Well, when they're free, they actually work. It's great. The total cost of the program, of the paper product buy, and of getting these machines and product into our rec centers for the pilot has been just $1,068. So I think that's important to emphasize that as businesses and as other public entities think about what this could cost for themselves. Next, I would like to introduce Nancy Kramer. In 2013, Nancy founded Free the Tampons, a Columbus-based organization whose mission is to end bathroom inequality. She actually has been talking about, as I said earlier, has been talking about access to tampons and pads for almost 30 years. And I remember my first conversation with Nancy, and it was the first time that I'd really thought about this issue. And the minute that you hear her explain it, it is so common sense, and you wonder why you haven't thought of it yourself 100 times. Since the time that Nancy Kramer founded Free the Tampons and did a TED Talk on the subject, her efforts really have launched a national conversation about access to feminine care products in restrooms. I'd like to invite Nancy up to the podium to say a few words about that work, what we're seeing over the country and what we're seeing in our community.
Thank you. I realized sitting there, I got kind of emotional. I mean, this is such an exciting day for me. I first want to just say thank you to Liz for really championing this cause. I'm so heartened by the leadership that we have in this community, these young leaders that have come in and are willing to have the courage to lead and to take on these causes. We are so fortunate in our community to have some really extraordinary public servants, and Liz is right there at the top of the list, as her colleagues are, and I just can't emphasize that enough. So thank you, and I have great admiration. It gives us hope, I think. So I think Liz really covered the why. Just kind of a little bit of my story. I have had my own business for several years. I sold it last year to IBM. My first client was Apple Computer, which was really a fantastic experience. And the first time I went to Apple's corporate headquarters out in California, I went into their restroom, their women's restroom, and there were tampons and pads freely accessible on the counter. And it was the first time in my lifetime that I had ever seen that. And I thought, wow, this makes so much sense. Why doesn't every place have this? And so I immediately instituted that policy within my own business. And fast forward, when my daughters became school age and I realized that they might be caught without what they needed when they needed it, I went to the school and I lobbied with the male head of school to say, we need to put tampons and pads in the women's restrooms. And I was met with some resistance, and very typical response sometimes is, well, then do we need to put condoms in? And I say, no, that sexual activity is a choice. Menstruation is not a choice. This is something a woman's body does no matter whether we want it to or not. And so it was really at that point that I started kind of heightening my advocacy around this issue. I've advocated with different businesses around town. If you go into any Cameron Mitchell restaurant, you will find tampons and pads. And Cameron will say to me sometimes when they're talking about budget items and they think, well, maybe we can't afford this anymore. He's like, nope. My friend Nancy Kramer will never speak to me again if I don't do this. So companies like Filios and the Columbus Airport and our convention center, there's a lot of places in town now that offer free tampons and pads. And so to take this step today is really, really exciting for me. I was helpful to the city of New York as they launched their pilot in testing free tampons and pads in the public school system there. We discovered that after a year, it actually increased attendance by 2.4%. 2.4%, because young girls felt safe and they felt confident that they were not going to be put in a position where they might be humiliated. And so yesterday, as I was talking to a reporter about this effort, he asked me, what would I hope the outcome of having tampons and pads in our rec centers would be? And it's the same thing. I hope that our young girls and young women have more confidence and feel safe and are participating more in the programming that exists within these great assets in our community. So I am thrilled with today. I think this is a great first step. We have much more work to do. I think that the idea that, hopefully we can spread this to our city schools like they have in New York. After the pilot, for those of you that don't know, after 1 year, the New York City Council unanimously passed legislation that required all New York City schools to have tampons and pads. So this school year, they launched an open school with all the schools outfitted that way. So young girls in New York can feel more safe and confident that they're not going to be put in a position where they might be humiliated and lose their dignity. So today is a great first step, and I look forward to other steps on this journey. I have pledged to my daughters that before I die, my goal is to change our current socially accepted norm where bathrooms are not created equal because female and gender neutral restrooms right now are not created equal. They do not have everything in them that a human needs to tend to their normal bodily functions. So I say, let's change that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nancy. You can see the passion, and you can really see the results of such a common sense argument spreading across the country. I thank you for that, and I'm very inspired by what New York has done. So I want to point out right here, we've got a lot of tampons on display. So this is the first regular shipment of tampons that will be provided for free to homeless women in shelters across Columbus. I would like to welcome to the podium now Michelle Heritage, CEO of the Community Shelter Board, and our gracious host, so that she can speak about the need for menstrual products here at the shelters, across Columbus at shelters. And I also want to thank you for just the incredible work you do on a daily basis to be there for Columbus families and homeless people. So please come up.
Well, I want to thank everyone for being here today and coming to visit us at Buren Shelter. Community Shelter Board opened this center in 2015 to respond to the increasing homelessness that we're seeing in our community. And I am so grateful to you, Councilmember Brown, for bringing this to us and for introducing us to Lola. And Lola is a feminine care company for women, and it has donated more than 100,000 tampons to low-income and homeless women nationally. Now they are bringing that generosity to here for us in Columbus. And we do need their help because on average in this community, we are sheltering 100 families every single night. So 100 families are experiencing homelessness. And 95% of those homeless families are headed by a woman. And in addition to that, on average, we've got about 160 women that are experiencing homelessness who don't have children with them that are being sheltered each night in Columbus. And as we know, it's really important to be able to take care of our basic needs. Our health and hygiene are so important, and we don't want our women to worry about how they're going to get a hold of feminine hygiene products or afford to buy them. The women and the families in our shelters are very poor, and they're struggling to get back on their feet. And what we want them to struggle with is getting a job, finding an apartment, and becoming self-sufficient. And so anything that stands in the way of them doing that, we want to get rid of that. And this really gives some relief to these very poor women who really want to be back on their feet. They're not going to have to worry about how they're going to take care of this incredibly basic need. So Lola's going to donate 60,000 tampons to our community in 2017. And that means every woman who walks through the doors of a shelter in this community will make sure that she has access to tampons and feminine hygiene products that she needs. Thank you, Nancy. I don't normally call you Nancy. It's so odd. Kramer. Thanks, Kramer. You rock. Thanks for being able to speak out about restroom inequality. You've made us all really brave. And thanks for taking the lead on that. And thank you, Councilmember Brown. So appreciate you bringing this to us. You're such an absolute champion of women. And Councilmember Page, thank you. You're always there for us, and I'm so glad that you're part of this effort too. So I want to thank everyone that's joined us here today. And thanks to Lola, we have 15,000 tampons that need to get into the hands of women who are experiencing homelessness right now. Thanks, and thanks for coming.
So before we close for questions, I do want to mention a couple other people who are here. Nancy talked about some of the businesses who have made sure to provide menstrual products in their bathroom. The airport is one of them, and Kristen Easterday from the airport is here today. So I want to thank you, Kristen. I want to thank the airport for doing this right for several years now. Thank you. And there are really some, as Nancy said, I mean, the convention center, the airport, this isn't some, niche issue that a couple do-gooder women think is the right thing to do. It's a really basic common sense issue. And if I remember correctly, Nancy's talked to me about, through Free the Tampons advocacy with some businesses, they've also learned that those machines I was talking about where the coin doesn't always operate, doesn't work correctly and breaks, that many businesses have actually found that's more labor intensive in terms of getting someone out there with a second person because there's money involved, so you have to have that check and balance. Getting two people out there to fix a machine actually doesn't make sense cost-wise, and just supplying the product and having equal restrooms it makes better business sense too. So I want to thank you, Kristen, for being here. And I also want to thank someone very special. Claire Coder is here, and would you come up here for a second, Claire? She founded Aunt Flo, which is, she's our Columbus native company here. Aunt Flo is a buy one, give one model for getting tampons into the hands of women who buy them, and then into the hands of women who need them. So if you could just briefly tell us what Aunt Flo does real quick.
Yeah, so Aunt Flo is a Columbus-based social enterprise. We provide menstrual products to those in need. So you can go to our website. It is auntflo.org. It is a buy one, give one subscription box for 100% cotton tampons and pads. What's really amazing is in our first year of business, we're going to be deploying 150,000 tampons and pads to organizations in need, including Columbus. So it's really, really exciting. I have my team here today. It is auntflo.org, and we are founded to make sure that everybody has access to menstrual products.
Thank you for all the work that you do, and I'm just proud that we have two tampon treasures here in Columbus to reach for the alliteration. So I want to close real quick for questions, and then we have a service project next to me right here that I want to get everyone engaged into. So first, are there any questions?
What does the annual budget look like once this is fully deployed?
The annual budget will be between $3,000 and $5,000 a year. The range is set that way because we're not sure exactly how many will be used, but we've projected that's probably the cost for all 29 of our rec centers.
What about the homeless shelters? Is that just this one-time initiative, or will it be for the homeless shelters as it goes on?
Michelle, do you want to explain the LOLA contract?
It will be on a continuous basis that we'll be getting shipments every so often of tampons, and we will distribute them across all the shelters in the community that need them.
Well, thank you again. We are really excited about this announcement today, and we do think of it as a first step in continuing the progress to end bathroom inequality. Thank you so much.
He is assembling some menstrual product kits for the women that will receive them here at the shelters. So we have a bunch of people that came to help us out. And so I think we're probably going to do sort of an assembly line, but we've got some open boxes over here, and we can just sort of dig in.